Hi everybody, it's Nancy Scott with Masterpiece Quilting, and I want to thank all of you who in my last newsletter I asked, hey, I want to do a quick interview, tell you more about myself, what questions do you have? Wow, you guys totally blew me away with all these questions. So, what I want to do is do a quick 10 for 10 here tonight and answer a lot of those questions for you. And I thought this was going to be the easiest way for me just to hop on and to do a quick video and answer all the questions. If you've watched any of my Facebook Lives, you know that I have a live studio audience whenever I'm taping. So if you just heard footsteps going upstairs, that was Miss Lily. The three pooches are hanging out with me in the studio. Ruby and Zoe are both downstairs. Lily, she's bored already. She's went upstairs. But want to share just a little bit about myself. I took all the questions that you guys asked and I kind of boiled them down, merged some of them together, and came up with a top 10 list. So in less than 10 minutes, I'm going to try to answer these top 10 questions. Do I have family? Yes, I do have family. I don't normally talk about them. I don't know why I don't talk about them, but I do have family. I'm married. I have a husband. His name is Mark. And then I also have two stepkids, Aubrey and Clay. Clay is amazing at picking colors. Just blows me away. Whenever he's in a fabric shop with me, when I'm trying to match colors, Clay does an amazing job. And Aubrey, while she doesn't quilt, she is the best presser ever. Seams nice and flat, quilt flat. She is the person for the job. Okay, question number 2. What hobbies do I have besides quilting? I'm an outdoor person, so anything outdoors that is right up my alley. I even love to mow yard. I like being outside so much. Genealogy is one of my other favorite hobbies that I've just loved and I've loved for a long time. And I'm kind of merging this question in. What is a hobby that I wish I would learn how to do? I would like to learn how to do pottery, where you're throwing clay and you've got the wheels and all the mess and things going around. I would love to learn how to do that. Number 3, what is my favorite type of quilt? Traditional. That's what I grew up with. 1 or 2 colors with a white background. So very traditional blocks, maybe some applique, but mostly traditional patchwork with 2 color quilts, like a blue with white, a red with white, purple with white. And that's kind of the style that I have, is stemmed from that very traditional. Might be a little bit more modern in my colors, not necessarily all white, but that is my favorite type of quilt. Where do I get my inspiration? Vintage and antique quilts. I love looking through antique quilt books. I'm always buying them, looking at the old blocks, the old settings, the layouts. No, they are not perfect, but I just love looking at them for inspiration. Aspirations. What do I want to do? Something that I've alluded to for the last couple of years. If you followed me on social media, you may have picked this up, but I would like to design fabric. I don't know why, but for some reason, just seeing my name on selvage just kind of gives me some drive. So I have been learning surface pattern design, doing some repeating patterns, kind of pulling everything together. I need to just force myself to sit down for a day and put all of my sketches, my patterns, everything together, get them colored uniformly, and I might just have a collection ready to present. So that's my aspiration. Any upcoming projects that I'm working on? Yes. I have written a couple quilting books and I've been wanting to write more. Right now, kind of leaning more towards the self-publishing and maybe mixing up the topics a little bit. So I'm thinking about a quilting and cooking book where we've got a mix of quilting patterns and then some recipes. So let me know if that sounds kind of cool for you guys, because those are 2 of my favorite things. I like to quilt and I like to cook. When did I start quilting? As long as I can remember. My grandmother was a very avid hand quilter. She had a quilt in the frame in the living room all the time. Her lady friends would come over, so I was always helping them with some aspect of quilting. So, by kindergarten, I was helping layer quilts as they rolled them out onto the floor, layered everything together, pin basted it together before it went into the frame. So it's kind of always been a part of my life. What is my least favorite quilting technique? Well, paper piecing. At one time in my life, I just totally refused paper piecing and I was horrible at it. I would actually stitch the fabric to both sides of the paper. Don't ask me how I did that, but I did that. Probably the part that I like least about paper piecing now, I force myself to do paper piecing so I get better at it. The part that I like least is tearing off all that paper. So if I can use a water-soluble paper underneath or something that can just stay in the quilt, that makes it even better. What is some type of quilt technique or something quilt-wise that I want to try, something that I haven't done before? A lot of you asked this question and it was phrased in several different ways, but basically something that I've never done before. I would like to do a landscape quilt or an art quilt, kind of in that category where we've got a picture and then you're filling in little tiny pieces of fabric to create kind of that collage picture. I've seen several of those. They are absolutely gorgeous. And I would like to try to make one. I've never done it before. And number 10 in this 10 for 10. Have I ever thrown a quilt away because I hated it? That was a unique question, so I just had to really include it in with this list. No, I have never thrown a quilt away because I hated it, but I have donated a quilt that I really, really didn't like. Went ahead, finished it just as abbreviated as I could, like crib size, and then I donated it. I didn't want to throw everything away, but I did donate it. So those of you who are in that category of I don't like my work, I understand that. This one, I just didn't like the color choices. The blocks didn't come together right. It was supposed to have a secondary pattern to it. It just didn't work, but I didn't actually just throw it away. I just finished it and donated it. So, hey, I wasn't watching the time, but you guys can. So there is my 10 for 10, a little more about me, Nancy Scott with Masterpiece Quilting. Bye.